Hello and welcome to Left Coast Live. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, America's favorite white Anglo-Saxon Protestant gone left coastal. I am joined tonight instead of Stat Pat Stateless Patriot by my main man, the host of Why I Hate Politics. He goes by Superior on the internet. We'll have to talk about that in a second. But how you doing, my man? What's good? You're in Colorado, right? Is that okay to say?
Yes. Yes. Shoot. Once again, I appreciate you inviting me to your show. Definitely appreciate the time to talk about progressive politics. And it's pretty good in Colorado. Colorado, we experienced all four seasons in like a week. So it just was a blizzard a few days ago. Now we had the AC on today. So, it's just a
Bluebird, yeah.
mix of all kind of weathers. But we're here and I would say I can't complain, but I can't complain. So
Yeah, well, I love that part of the country. I've spent quite a bit of time in Colorado, and really, really nice people. Informed, one of the two states that legalized weed all the
yeah.
way back. That was like, what was that, like 13 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to get into you and your story in a minute, but before I do, I think we should just take a look at Illinois ninth because um, it's in our, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Okay, cool. I got it now. It's in our title screen,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I know that we've both talked about Kat and her campaign.
Mm.
And as you can tell, everybody, with 80% of the votes in, it looks like Kat is not going to be able to catch up to Daniel Biss. I want to talk about these results because they explain a lot about local politics, particularly congressional
Yeah.
politics. First of all, he is only up on Kat by a total of like 4,500 votes.
Yeah.
4,500 votes. So she could have won this thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
She could have won this thing. And here's why I think she could have won this thing. I was listening to the Vanguard guys earlier before
Yep.
we came on, and they were talking about how if she was from the district, she would have won, which I think is fair to say. The other problem right here, Mike
Yep.
Simmons, who I liked a lot, and he carried 7,000 votes, and I think
Hmm.
more importantly, the DSA endorsement. And
Yep.
Kat is a dues paying member of the DSA.
Yeah.
And so
Crazy.
it is breaking my heart that had either Kat gotten behind Mike Simmons or vice versa. I mean, once she got out to that lead, she was never backing down. I
Yeah.
don't know when Mike Simmons got into this late into this race, but I understand. Do you know much about him? I think he was local to that area, right?
Yeah. And I know a decent amount of them. I was watching Hassan kind of dig into it a little bit more and kind of doing my own, looking up just a little bit. Solid guy. Not the worst, but seeing Kat in her uh performance at the debates, I
Right.
really liked it. And she has obviously looking at the results now, I kind of knew she was gonna have a way better chance than Simmons. So it's like, why are we as progressives, why do this splitting of the vote? Because as we can see, that 7,000 means something, you know, and
Yeah.
we're doing ourselves a no service with this here. He definitely should
Yeah.
have dropped out, in my opinion, a
You
long
think
time ago.
Yeah, the DSA should have taken control here and sorted things out and asked Kat to modify whatever their issues with her were
Yeah.
and then talk Mike Simmons. Like, this is the thing about the DSA. I love the DSA,
Mm.
but they they don't, I don't know, maybe just because they've never been in this position before, really, they didn't take the reins on this one. You know what I
Mm.
mean? They didn't
Yeah.
talk to Mike. They didn't talk to Kat and be like, yo, if this comes down to it, we got to get behind one of you
Yep.
and let's make a deal.
Yeah. And for a while, she's been leading Mr. Mike Simmons. And from polling, I believe a month ago, it was actually the margins were a lot closer with her and Mr. Daniel here. So it was like, as me from Colorado, just kind of lightly looking at this race here, I'm pretty sure they knew that Mike had no chance. So once again, when it comes to playing politics, you're not going to get the person you want. But I believe Kat is a progressive, and out of Kat and Daniel, if you're a DSA member, which out of the two is going to promote your agenda or at least be close to it? And I wish I could know what issues they had with Kat to where they didn't endorse her, or like you say, make some sort of deal. Get something out there to where we are slowly building a foundation here. But to me, it's like they, like you say, had no control over this, and
They could have.
moments like this, we definitely need to be seasoned.
They
Definitely,
could. They could. I mean, because at the what you're alluding to is it's a game.
yeah.
It's politics is a goddamn game, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So learn how to play it. It's like chess. Like learn
Mm-hmm.
how to play it better by playing it. And the DSA, like I said, it just never really had this level of influence, I don't think. And so that's why they didn't really coordinate their efforts in an effective way to get Simmons's votes behind Kat. And just I think their issue with her was the foreign policy thing about militarily supporting Taiwan if they get invaded by China.
Which is
But
crazy.
my normal co-host is chiming in on the chat. He said this is a failure of coordination between leftists to actually win. I agree, Stat Pat. I agree. Also, I mean, let's be serious. Kat is what, 27? She like just
Yeah.
turned 27, and she just moved to the district. She like moved to the district after she announced or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this was a long shot no matter what. Um, but I wonder what really there was some sort of variable in there that we don't know about that motivated her to pick that district,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd be curious to know what it was.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, this shows me two things. One, for someone like Kat, like you say, very young, started off as a political commentator on YouTube, and to jump in and do as well as she did, I think that speaks volumes on its own. Two, the whole Taiwan conversation, I I I don't believe it was because of that. I don't think the average person, person who is just living their life and kind of just got one toe into politics. I'm pretty sure they don't even know the politics behind Taiwan and
Right.
the relationship with the U.S. So I want to really think it's because of name recognition. Kat is young. That probably has a lot to do with why people didn't vote for her. But other than that, I think this speaks more volumes in progresses moving forward, and having a little bit more time in the future, and planning out with other organizations and institutions to make sure that we're not splitting the vote as best as possible. Trying to learn from this, I think is a big thing here. So
Yeah, and anyway, this chat is relevant. She and her boyfriend moved here when he bought the Onion, and were looking for places in the Rogers Park area when she announced she was running. Okay, so her boyfriend owns the Onion, like the parody
the
publication.
that
That would
would
be
be
hilarious.
hilarious.
Oh my god, how do we not know about that? If that's the case,
Yeah,
chime in, Alex. Alex, Windy City Darters, confirm that her boyfriend owns the Onion, please. Thank you.
that would be
Uh,
hilarious.
yeah, that's
That
the
would
one. He
be.
says. He says, yeah. No kidding. Well, how come we didn't know about that? That's news. That is crazy. Um, Here, this other chatter has some opinions on China. Taiwan has a policy of not being specific on the policy. They don't want to declare intent, so someone in China or Taiwan doesn't start a war because of that declared intent. Yeah, I also think the Chinese are just smart, and things
Mm.
are going their way right now. Why would they mess up the geopolitical status of the world the way the U.S. is? The
Yeah.
U.S. is making an ass of itself, and China's picking up the pieces. China's
Hmm.
presence in Africa has become
Oh my God.
enormous by contrast to what it was 20 years ago.
Hmm.
And it's like the old Soviet Union. Like they are exerting their influence throughout the world because they don't want to be dependent on the American consumer anymore. And I don't
Hmm.
blame them. Look at
Yeah.
the look at the problems that America's culture of politics produces.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's no reason to start a war right now. Yeah, I think you're right in general about the electorate. You know, not really. It's not necessarily the electorate that cared about that. It was just maybe the DSA, and I don't know. The left. This is an interesting subject. What do you think of the cliche that the left is plagued by purity tests?
It's I've had this issue a lot, especially being a progressive. Um, I guess it really depends on who you're talking to, because of course people are going to have their own purity testing and what they deem is more relevant and more important than someone else. But me personally, I see nothing wrong with having principle, with having standards for politicians to craft policies to rise to the occasion.
Right. You have hope.
When it comes to once again, you have to talk to the individual. For me personally, it's strictly about policy. If someone is critiquing something outside of that, it's a good chance it's irrelevant or just doing a little too much. Which I'm pretty sure a lot of progressives run into that issue. Of course, you can't purity test yourself out of never winning, because that is possible too.
Right.
But looking at Kat and her performance in her campaign, watching Kat for a while now, she was pretty solid. I don't really
Yeah.
see any hard issue that a progressive would say I can't vote for her. And I know it's not the whole Taiwan situation, because I'm pretty sure there's senior politicians that would give a way worse answer than what she did. Her answer, I forget. It was decent. It was like, kind of that play in the middle. Don't want to stand on something too solid. Trying to play, safe. So if and I would love to talk to a progressive in that area that didn't vote for her, because to me
Yeah,
that
we should
that would be
learn. Yeah.
crazy.
You're talking about something that the establishment left is miserable at, but the progressive left talks about being good at. And again, you do a really nice job of making sure you qualify everything you say about saying it depends on who you talk to.
Mm,
But I thought Avignon Q made a really good point here. The only purity test that matters is big money corruption in politics. If you take most of your money from super PAC money or anything from APAC, that's a problem. Yeah, I think that's true. I think there are certain policy positions that are emerging as non-negotiables for the progressive
yeah.
left. There's abolish ICE, abolish APAC related to campaign
Hmm.
finance reform. Um, there's prosecute MAGA. There's
Hmm.
pack the court, Supreme Court, and or not prosecute, impeach Trump judges.
Yeah.
Um, and then I had a fifth one that I can't remember, but those are the negative ones. There's negatives and positives that I've been working on doing because I want 10, one for each finger.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I'll think of them in the rest. But I think that's a good start, right? Like
Mhm.
I think those are just things that people are just going to by the time 2028, the American electorate will have caught up to where we are in terms of understanding the broad brushes of American politics right now. Because like
Mhm.
you're saying, a lot of people just aren't informed, and
Yeah.
you hesitate to call them ignorant, but I mean, isn't that what they are? Like they just don't know. I mean, ignorant isn't like a necessarily a pejorative. We're all ignorant to a certain extent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I struggle with this too, because your living conditions, and someone who's I guess our age, I'm 39. I've been in the workforce for a majority of my adult life. I know jobs are not paying a livable wage. I know healthcare is a headache, let alone unaffordable. I know education was never on my list. I already knew coming out of high school, I was never going to be able to afford that. Just so many
It's ridiculous.
blatant things. You don't even have to be involved in politics to know something's wrong. My wages are not keeping up with the price of things. And I hear Elon Musk on his way, I don't know if he is now, on his way to becoming a trillionaire. I'm hearing this. I know something is wrong. And when it comes to
Right.
polling, majority of Americans, Democrats and Republicans, vote for or agree on taxing and a aggressive tax on the wealthy.
Right.
Majority of Americans want Medicare for all. Majority of Americans now want to abolish ICE. It's
Right.
like it's there, but I don't understand why people don't vote for a candidate that represents these policies.
I
That
think
to
it's a
me, that
failure.
disconnect.
I think it's a failure of mass media for not making more of policy polls.
Mm.
And because if you get people on policy, I tell people who like are reluctant to talk about politics with their friends and family who are on the progressive left, get them on policy.
Mhm.
Like, get them on policy, get them on problems and solutions, and you can usually win them over. By the way, that fifth thing was tax the rich. And then
Hey,
so that's the five negative things. The five positive things would be Medicare for all, raise the minimum wage, debt cancellation,
mhm.
which I've got an essay coming up a couple weeks from now on. That's really exciting. And then humane immigration and what I call the next New Deal, not the Green New Deal, because I've actually got some problems with the Green New Deal
Hey,
that I won't talk about. I won't talk about specific in anything more than generally, just because I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. But basically, you would be surprised, very surprised, as to how many green energy projects in the Green New Deal will be privately owned and operated once they are done.
yeah.
Just as a base criticism, that is
Mhm.
wrong. That is not
Mhm.
consistent with our
Yep,
progressive views.
you're right.
It should be the county, the state, whatever the municipality is. I don't care if it's the federal government, but it
Mhm.
should not be a something that has anything to do with the for-profit motive.
Yep. And we already know. Once again, you don't have to be a political scientist to understand this. If you give control to those who only seek profits, that's what you're going to get. Capitalism is going to eat your ass up. And we know that as working people. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, in the future, once it gets closer to 2028, we need to be educating people on that. We need to be making sure we are letting our politicians know that is not tied to progressive values or what we want in our communities. We don't want more for profit,
Hmm.
privatized companies anymore because it doesn't work.
Okay, so thank you for chiming in, Evan and Q, and contributing so much to the chat. I agree that keeping profit out of the energy sector would be ideal, but it's not really an option here yet. Yeah, not
Mhm.
yet. But you're about to see an historic pendulum swing. I don't know how old you are, but Soup here and I are old enough to remember the 2008 pendulum swing when George W. Bush had such miserable popularity numbers, like in the 30s, okay, that the Republican Party was in shambles, and whoever won that Democratic Party primary between Barack Obama and
Mhm.
Hillary Clinton, there were some others. I think Biden was in it. Yeah, and Biden was in it. That was going to be the next president of the United States. That's going to be the case in 2028 as well. Whoever comes out of that Democratic Party primary in 2028 will be the next president of the United States. That's not really
Mm.
like I'd bet my life on that, as long barring, of course, like you know, election fraud.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
but
and and
good.
and I think kind of, and once again, once we get closer to 2028, we'll be able to kind of see the landscape in regards to primaries. But like you say, it's a good chance. I'm not a betting man. I stay away from casinos and things like that.
Smart,
I would,
smart.
yeah. But I would bet a Democrat is running, and this is the time. If no this is the time for progressives to stand up right now. And I really don't care waiting until 2027. I would like a progressive candidate to step up right now and say, hey, I am planning on running in 2028. Now, once
Well, you
again, I
got to
never,
time it up. I mean, that would be a little premature, don't you think? I mean, you got to wait till
ah,
after the
I,
midterms. You want it
I,
now?
I want
You
it
want it now?
now. I want someone to stand. I mean, because one, when before 2024, when Trump lost in 2020, when did he start up his campaign? Literally
2015.
after he lost.
Oh,
He
yeah, that's right.
he
Yeah, you're talking about that
essentially
election.
never stopped campaigning. Trump was probably more in the news than Joe Biden.
Yeah, but we don't need to do it like that. Plus, there's going to be like 25 people that come out for it. I mean, not that many, obviously, but at least 7 people are going to run for president on the
Uh,
Democratic Party. At least 7. At least it's going to
oh
be
yeah,
so
for
packed.
sure.
So
Yeah.
one of the things though to pay attention to now with Gavin Newsom, since he's kind of the biggest name, I wouldn't call him the front runner because, he's peaking way too early, and that's the
Mhm.
truth. Is that whoever peaks like this right now never ends up becoming the president unless you're George W. Bush. Um, so, yeah, I don't know. We don't need to talk about 2028 candidates, but the pendulum's definitely swinging back left. It's just a question of how far and
Mhm.
what are Democrats actually going to do with power once they have it. Because
Yeah.
right now, these midterms, everyone's like psyched about them, but it's all about just hedging power. It's not
Mhm.
about actually acquiring power.
Yeah.
It's about like
Raining
hedging
something
how
back.
much
Yeah.
power that Trump has, and that sucks. But
Mhm.
the left has got to toughen up anyway. So I think this is good. I mean, I wish Kat had won tonight, but she did respectable, and I wish actually Mike Simmons. He's actually the one that I like the most. Just for a review, if you're just joining us, Kat Abogazela has lost for the Illinois ninth with 82% of the votes in. We were talking earlier about how Mike Simmons was. I think he was a local guy, right? He was
I
local. He
believe
was
so.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike Simmons, local guy. Those votes could have been Kat's, or Kat's votes could have been his. There was not enough of a coordination going on
Yeah.
in Illinois
Definitely
ninth
not.
tonight. Um, but that's too bad. But anyway, let's see. What else do we want to discuss? Did you want to? I know you did a lot of coverage on Crockett versus Tellerico.
Oh yeah.
Um, we can touch on that real quick because that race fascinated me because the dream of every progressive Democrat like you and I who know anything about electoral politics nationally is that flipping Texas
Mm.
is the dream of all dreams
Yep.
in terms of like a presidential election, right?
Hmm.
That's the real dream, but there are steps we can take to get there.
Yep.
Um, the saddest part of that race was that neither one of those candidates are truly progressive
Mm.
based on some sketchy campaign financing.
Yeah.
So I'm not, but with that said, I do think Tellerico can be a good soldier and like kind of do what he's told. He's in his late 30s, so like there are going to be some more seasoned people I think that can influence him,
Yeah.
especially in the Senate because seniority means so much in the Senate.
Yep.
But flipping that seat blue would be great. And I felt really bad for the Crockett supporters after that election because they deserved a better campaign from her.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's actually talented, but she didn't surround herself with the right people. Like
Mhm.
something said, somebody said she didn't even have a campaign manager. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Crazy.
those are my thoughts. What do you think of all that?
So yeah, I've talked about this probably more than what I needed. Unfortunately, the conversation shifts from policies and campaign management to identity politics. So like it's really hard to try to steer people into the substance of this conversation. Like you say, no campaign manager. Like I never ran a
Got in
campaign.
3 week. Got in 3 months after he did.
Yeah. And it's like I never ran a campaign myself, but I would think you would need at least someone who's experienced so they can see your blind spots and kind of see where, hey, I've done this before. This is what failed. This is what's working. Let's do that. If you are running everything yourself, obviously that's not a good look. That's number one. Number two, uh Tallarico ran, I think, I want to say maybe 12 points, maybe between 12 and 15 points in regards to the Hispanic votes. Tallarico ran through Hispanic
Yeah.
communities, reached
Yeah.
out. He was on Telemundo
You know why
out of
he won
all
this? I
places.
know he was in Spanish speaking
Yeah,
TV and radio. The you know who his campaign advisor was? I don't know if it was his campaign manager, but
I
it was
forget
definitely
his
on the
name.
staff. Chuck Rocha. Okay,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
check him out. He does a YouTube channel called the Latino Vote.
I see him on
Um,
CNN a lot with the big
he's
cowboy hat.
really sharp,
Yeah,
really sharp guy, and Tellerico was lucky to have him because
yeah,
that Latino vote did win Tellerico the election. He won, I think, 61% of the Latino vote,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
which is quite a bit. Um, and in fairness to Crockett, again, like I don't think she had anyone on her staff helping her with based on what she was saying and how she was handling media and appearances. Didn't seem like she had anyone on her staff helping her with the
Hmm.
Latino vote.
Yeah.
So I feel for the people who love Crockett because she's a great personality. I love her personality, and she's
Mhm.
like a could be part of a portfolio of progressive left. You know, she did take APAC money,
Mhm.
and she did take crypto money. So I don't know. Like if she comes back and tries to play the game some other way, I wish her luck. But I
Yeah.
also hope that she embraces policies like you and I talk about with Medicare for all, raising the minimum wage,
Well,
you know,
she
immigration reform, that kind of thing.
she did because I did look at both their policies late at night. I couldn't sleep, so I had both their policies up on my phone. And weirdly enough, their website was set up the exact same way. So I'm not sure if they had the same person create their website, but it was exactly the same. But one thing I did like about her policies, which she didn't focus enough for me. I watched way more Jasmine Crockett interviews than I would liked, but I seen a lot of them, and she rarely touched on her policies. On her website, she said, and I wish she would have went into more detail because you can easily kind of play it off as Medicare for all, but she says she's down for Medicare for all. Tallarico's down for Medicare for all for those who want it, which to me is 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't want that. I want both feet in.
Right. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, if she would have campaigned more on Medicare for all, if it's the Medicare for
Yeah.
all, that would have been amazing. If she
Or
would have
raising the
stood,
minimum and raising the minimum wage.
yeah,
I mean, like I, it's tough, man. I don't know if I would ever get into a situation where she would listen to someone like me, but I mean, it would be the coaching is like the coaching I would give her would be very simple. It would be your personality, your authenticity will take care of itself.
mm-hmm,
You are you have a magnetic personality, okay? You're going to get attention. That's great because that's the first thing you need to be able to influence
yep,
anyone. Now, what are you going to do with that attention? Are you going to keep talking about yourself? Are you going to talk
mm-hmm,
about your people? Or are you going to talk about your policies?
exactly.
And she didn't do those last two as well as she could have.
Mm. Which once again, like you say, is a shame. I would, she's better than any Republican for sure. Like you say,
Yeah.
maybe with maturity, especially being in the Senate, maybe we can as Democrats pressure them into going more progressive. But it kind of sucks when, like you alluded to before, politics is a game, and you have to have a message that will resonate not just with your own community. You have to have a platform that is attractive to all communities who are hungry for bold policies. To me, that right there just doesn't work in New York. It just doesn't work in California. I think if you have bold policies that are going to demand people's attention and kind of give the people what they need, not what they
Right.
want, but what they need, like, and then have a personality like Jasmine Crockett, like that's the two best things right there.
I know.
You got the fire personality with the bold policies,
But
What
it
more do
shows you
you
though,
need?
you need to surround yourself when you get like that, when you get hot with fame, you need to surround yourself with people who aren't afraid to say no to you, who
Mm-hmm.
aren't afraid to say that sucks or
Mm-hmm.
that's a horrible idea. I'm begging you not to do it that way.
Yeah.
And Jasmine just, I have no doubt. And based on their staffing issues, like she didn't have anybody like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, tax the boomers. Yes, tax them 6 feet under. Absolutely. Um, so, Avignana, you're hooking it up. So, I'm going to give you some more love. Jasmine Crockett voted for a Medicare for All bill. James Tallarico supports the public option, Medicare for All who want it, which is an incrementalist policy that would enable single payer. Yeah, okay. After a few years. Yeah, so I'm not for incrementalism. Neither is Soup. I don't think the good news for our side of things is that it's not complicated what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we need to make sure that we're communicating the package of policies, right?
Yeah.
It's not just Medicare for all. It's raising the minimum wage. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
just raising the minimum wage. It's student loan debt forgiveness, consumer debt forgiveness, medical debt forgiveness. The next New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, thank you, Stat Pack. Bingo, surrounding yourself with yes men only destines you for shortcomings and blind spots. Let's talk some foreign policy.
Oh man.
I didn't think I'm a little bit older than you, but not by much. And I grew up watching the nightly news with Tom Brokaw on NBC. And I actually started my interest in politics with foreign policy first,
Ah.
domestic policy second. And the reason why is because I could remember the very end of the Cold War. My first news memory is the fall of the Berlin Wall when I was 4.
Oh.
And
Okay.
then my first election that I really remember and paying attention to was 1992 when I was 7, and that was the Bill Clinton election.
Mm.
So my point is that the legacy of Cold War imperialism is still alive and well.
Yeah.
And the military industrial complex, yes, it is hugely influential, but I believe it's mostly a product of that standard of spending that we established within the context of the Cold War. And we just don't need to be spending this much money on defense anymore.
Man, like that is going to be, I think, something that progresses in the future facing the Democratic Party and Republicans. That's going to be a battle on its own. Like you can probably abolish ICE, you can probably get Medicare for all, but to shrink the budget on our military and abroad,
I
like
know.
that's going to be like you I don't know if that's going to happen, but like
It's
you
the only
say,
thing. It's the only thing Republicans and Democrats agree on is the
yeah,
military budget every
which
year.
is like another headache. Like
Yeah,
I hate it when Democrats, liberals are like feeding into what Trump is doing because they would do it themselves, not in a way that Trump is doing it. But I think if you was to give Joe Biden or Harris or any other liberal president, kind of a green light or a way to get this done, they would do it too.
right.
I don't think it would be, it would be a different way to get in, but we're hearing it already. Harris, other like Obama, they're like giving the green light in a way. They just don't like the way Trump is doing it. And like you say, this is all feeding into the uh, military industrial complex. This is just putting more money, more power into these people's hands and kind of, controlling other countries, their
Yeah,
economy, their
foreign
government.
interventionism.
And it needs to stop. And we need to rip the
Yeah,
band-aid off at this
yeah.
point. I was saying in my segment today, I know it really sucks to say, and I really had to muster up the courage to say this, but I hope America loses this war that we're in with Iran, because it's only going to continue to embolden the next action from Trump. Is only going to set the president for future presidents.
Yep.
Like, this is only going to get much worse. So
Yes.
something needs to happen, and it needs to be a major loss on America.
I mean, it's gonna be Vietnam but shorter, right? I mean, because it won't last through Trump's presidency, because whoever wins the presidency next will definitely want to get us out if they come into office.
Yeah,
Iran cost ticker says $23 billion on the Iran war. If
that
that's
is
true,
crazy.
I believe it. I
Oh
believe it.
man,
Yep, I
that is.
believe it.
And then they ask us, well, how are you going to pay for Medicare for all? How are you? Where's the money going to come from to cancel student loan debt? Like, where's the money going to come from? But yeah, we are just like, for no reason. I still can't find a cohesive answer or a plan on why we're even doing this. And the whole three cliche things that they're throwing out, nobody believes it. Our allies out there don't even believe it. They're asking what's the plan. But yeah, we're shelling out so many billions of dollars, and we don't even know when it's going to end right now. So that alone is crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like they think they're just going to go in, bomb the shit out of the country, take enough oil that pays for the war, and then like keep taking more oil. I don't know. It's pretty frustrating to see that, especially if you know your history and you remember a guy named Dwight Eisenhower
Oh.
who warned us about this exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
He warned us in the context of the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
He warned us. And it's like people don't even know about that. You know, like that's one of those little nuggets that I think can work well, because that's a Republican president, the only Republican president within a string of Democratic presidents, starting with FDR, ending with LBJ. And he built the highways and warned us about the MIC, and we didn't freaking listen.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, we do live in a country that is okay with for-profit healthcare. More than okay with it, we've been facilitating it for 60 years. we haven't. No one has stepped up and said, "I'm going to solve this problem in 60 years." And it cost Bill Clinton majorities in both houses. That whole pattern of losing power in both houses, if you come in with it, that started with Bill Clinton. That wasn't a thing before him.
Ah.
Yeah, if you guys watching haven't checked out my episodes or my essays, check out the most recent one, and I'm gonna be having some more stuff on why Clinton lost those midterms so badly. Partly it had to do with he failed to fix healthcare. Another part was they passed NAFTA, which alienated a lot of unions, and then also too the crime bill I think was passed.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I think it was passed before the midterms, and that alienated obviously a lot of black voters.
Yeah, and that's something that people, Democrats, need to understand, and why I've been saying on my channel, this is why we got Trump, is because the Democratic Party continues to fail to actually deliver real substance within policies that will physically change people's living conditions. Like, if you don't do that, this is what we get. And I honestly don't. They know that. I don't want to think everybody's dumb. I would like to think they see this, they know it, they just don't care, because they know if any of these institutions was to change or get reformed, that's only going to take power from them. That's going to take money from them, and they don't want that. They're only really interested in is staying in power,
Yes.
more consolidation of wealth, and that's all that they really care about. So I really want voters to understand, who are scared to vote for someone who's progressive or quote unquote radical, and stop going with the safe bet, because being safe, playing too safe, moderation, that's what got us here. And like you say, you know, it I don't want to say started with Clinton, but you started to see it play in the numbers in the midterms with Clinton. So
Yeah, it neoliberalism definitely started with Clinton, like in a real way.
mm,
There was present in Carter's administration, but Carter is like a wash. Carter didn't do shit. Um, he's like him and Ford, or like the '70s were like the biggest joke of a decade for the presidency. Um, but anyway, all right, man. Well, oh wait, yeah, nice. Crazy how Iran is demonstrating that it doesn't matter how much you spend on your military, it can still be picked apart if you are strategic enough and have been preparing for over 30 years. Yeah, and they got the home field advantage, right?
mm-hmm.
They
Yep.
got the home field advantage, and they've been they know that this has been Netanyahu's dream for
Oh
years,
yeah.
so of course they're prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in the chat asked a second ago, what are we going to do to punish Israel for this once we get into power, if and when we have the opportunity to punish them? I think we cut off weapon sales and money for the next 100 years,
Oh
just to make a
yeah.
point, just to make a point.
Yeah.
Let's see how they do on their own.
Yeah. And cut all uh Citizens United, cut every single way and avenue that Israel and other foreign entities influence our politicians. And they're starting to I forgot to look at the story when it comes to Hakeem Jeffries, but they're slick. They're using other avenues, they're using other I guess names is not as blatant as APAC for Israel, like these foreign countries entities are literally buying our politicians. And to go along with cutting everything from Israel, we need to make sure they cannot in any way, shape, or form influence our politicians. I understand having allies. I want America to have allies. But when you are now using our politicians to craft policies that only benefit you, you are utilizing our government, our military to pursue your agenda, your selfish agenda. It's not even a righteous something righteous to stand behind. It's not even that. So I think this is, like I said before, this is a great moment for people to realize and see in real time that our government is uh, being irresponsible in every way, shape, or form. And with this war with Iran, it is a good demonstration that other countries are influencing our politicians, and not to use the slogan, put America first, but they're not putting our citizens first. And the
No.
data shows that.
Yep, that's absolutely true. No, that's absolutely true. And the metaphor that I use is America. I use two of them. One is America is a spoiled teenager with a credit card, and we use it to buy junk food and weapons. And then the other one is America is a drug addict that is addicted to greed in two
Mhm.
forms. One is baby boomer conservative capitalism that started with Reagan, and then the other is baby boomer neoliberalism, which is what
Mm.
started with Clinton.
Yeah.
Those are the two culprits. I say Star Wars. I say politics is like Star Wars, policy is Star Trek, and political marketing is either Jurassic Park or Inception, depending on whether or not you need to kill the dinosaurs of Reagan and Clinton and even kind of Obama. And definitely W already kind of shot himself in the foot, but nobody thinks he was a good president. Even Republicans are like, no, he was garbage. So I
Oh
mean,
shoot.
you can turn about. So let me ask you this: we'll wrap up soon because I know you got to go. But what do you think we should do with regretful Trump voters?
Regretful
And
Trump
does it? And here's the
voters.
thing: is I think there are levels, like there is with everything,
Uh-huh.
right? There are levels. Okay, triple Trumpers, double
Oh,
Trumpers, single Trumpers.
oh man. That's a hard one. I mean, because
Good.
because Jesus is working on me every day. Okay, like I try to see the best of people. I try to feel like if the proper tools and education and the time and the willingness of people, they can learn from their mistakes. They can do better in the future. That's for level one. For if you voted for Trump for the first time in 2024, hopefully you learned your lesson. If you voted for Trump in 2020 and 2016 and you seen him try to rig the election in 2020, deny it, and now trying to prosecute people just because, having no proof or anything, and you still voted for him in 2024 after seeing all of that, I don't think you have the mental capacity to ever understand politics.
Yep.
Or you're just inherently, and you just don't know it, a hateful person. Like you
They
just don't
exist.
see it yet. You
They
know?
exist. Yeah, that's well here. So the most insightful thing I learned about evil when I was in film school is the following: the bad guy doesn't think he's the bad guy.
Mm.
The bad guy thinks he's the good guy.
Oh
So you
man.
just alluded to that. And we say whether they know it or not, they are in the service of evil. So you don't, you
Hmm.
just invoke Jesus. I don't know whether or not these people are evil. That's for God to decide. I have come
Mm.
from a Christian household, but I have my own relationship with the church, and I think it's done a lot of good historically for in American history. And I
Yeah.
hope it's going to be here and available to serve the progressive cause in the next few cycles. Um, but you're talking about forgiveness, and the premise of Christianity, or one of the major premises, is forgiveness.
Hmm.
And I think you then have to get into defining forgiveness.
Yeah.
Is it turning the other cheek, or is it exercised contrition? And by that I mean they can be forgiven, but they must repent.
Hmm.
They must either, and
Yep.
preferably they do it publicly on
Yep.
social media, or if you find out that they voted for Trump, they say I repented, you know,
Hmm.
and it's like an action, like it's like a it's not just expecting people to let it go, because that's what
Oh yeah.
narcissists do.
Yeah.
Uh, Narcissists will just act like nothing happened when some serious drama went down, and you're just expected to be like,
Yeah.
do you not remember throwing the bottle of wine across the dining room table and knocking John on,
Yeah.
knocking John out? But yeah, I think if you what is it, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so part of my dream of running for office is like what the shit talking that I would do to MAGA.
Hmm.
And I would say, I would encourage others, and this, I don't know how you feel about this. This is just super aggro, but for triple Trumpers, okay,
Mm.
the other two levels, the singles, whatever, it'd be great if all of them did this, but until you repent, you're going to be shunned. You're going to be shamed. You're going to be excluded from
Yeah.
American society in major urban and suburban areas. If you show up to urban
Hmm.
and suburban America wearing that MAGA hat, or
Oh
got
my
a bump
God.
or got a MAGA bumper sticker on your car, you're going to not be allowed in restaurants, bars, and clubs.
Hmm.
And you're probably going to get your tires slashed, and good luck getting a tow truck, because none of the tow trucks are going to want to help you
Yeah.
either. So that's kind of like building on some of the activism in the past to actually go on offense, because I hear a lot of people say, let's go on offense, let's go on offense. I'm like, okay, what does that mean?
Hmm.
Well, how does that actually manifest? Do we go after just the Trump politicians, just the public figures that are on MAGA side, or do we go after the MAGA trash citizens
Yep.
themselves?
Got to do it both.
And it sounds like, yes, it sounds
Hmm.
like we're in agreement that you
Oh
think
yeah.
that we need to do both.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, and this is not just having a difference in policies. Like you want, Medicare for all who wants it or something, or I want Medicare for all, or you think that student loan debt shouldn't be canceled, and I do. This is not that. This to me transcends politics. This is now looking at other human beings, not just Americans, because this administration is literally killing people in general for little to no reason. Like your vote, your support has literally killed people for no reason, no due process, no proof or anything. Now, your taxpayer money, because you voted for this guy, has now killed over 170
Yeah.
kids in another country.
Yep.
Like this is not something you can just get over. And me, I will never run for office because I cannot ever serve or even make these people my ally. If you think that's okay, you will never ever consider me an ally. And I will
Right.
never serve you. I would never consider you a friend or an American. If you think this is okay, you voted for this guy 3 times. Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to be on your Instagram like every week.
Good. Yes.
Like you better,
So you see the vision. Yeah. You
yeah,
see the
you
vision.
better like
Yeah.
contribute money
And
to
you know, and according to your tradition in Christianity, my understanding, as I recall correctly, the angels of heaven rejoice far louder when someone who has lived a life of sin finds Christ, much more so than they do someone lives a sin-free life, which, by
yeah,
the way, is impossible.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely.
repentance is a beautiful thing.
It
We
is.
want, I mean, it takes a lot of humility to do this, but you know, for those that's the way I want to welcome you with open arms as someone whose political opinion I respect suggested we do. But I'm like, no, it's got to be qualified. It's got to be qualified. You got to do something to earn it. You
Yep.
can't just show up. And by the way, like, and part of the deal for you, like coming over to our side now, is just shut up about politics for a few years. Because, like you were saying, you don't know, you just don't know what you're talking about. You're just ignorant,
Yep.
like a child. Dieter
Yeah.
Decree number 2: just because someone looks like an adult doesn't mean they are one.
Exactly. And I love the way that you said that. And I need more progressives to understand that, which I don't think they are. I think a lot of progressives still today are too, I hate to say soft, but I mean there's really no other word. And like you say, until people understand that their vote has power and you can literally destroy people's lives, I'm shunning them all day. I am
Right.
going to make a
Good.
mockery. I'm going to make
Yep.
fun of them every
Yep.
single time until, like you say, they're on Fox News or something saying, "Hey, I shouldn't have voted for this guy."
Right.
You know, something along that. But if I don't hear that and you're wearing that Trump hat, I'm gonna make fun of you. So
Yeah. I mean, I think the standards should be like, treat the Trump hat like you would a swastika.
yeah,
Like, just make it that simple.
definitely.
How would you, because that's basically what it is. It might as well be the same fucking thing.
Yep.
A simpler way. I always try to simplify, right? Einstein said simplicity is the essence of genius. I add to that, oversimplification is the death of progress. So there's a balancing act to be had. But I try to get people who are kind of like soft, like you're talking about. And I think there's a lot of softness in neoliberal moderates. And I think those people, if they do toughen up, then they come over further towards the progressive side and do something like go to a DSA meeting. But I think you can toughen them up a little bit with, generational change within the ranks of DNC leadership and getting them fired up about voting twice in even years, right?
Yeah.
Why are they even years? Because they're divisible by 2, and that's the number of times you should vote in even years. But where I was going with that was the basic premise that you can simplify what's going on in America down to is war. It's a war. They are waging war on government. And I talk about this in one of my recent essays, how it's like an abusive relationship where the Republican Party is like the dad who, yells all the time and is abusive physically, and then the wife is the Democratic Party where she's like making excuses for him, lying for him, acting as if, no, this is okay, this is normal. And, and then the kids are like the citizens, and the scapegoats of this narcissistic family system are the progressives, like you and I, where we
Yeah.
get blamed, even though, and you know why? Because we have the least power. And anybody with any kind of understanding of like how family systems work, you understand that the people with the least power get blamed. They get scapegoated. And hence my term that I would love it if you would take to your show when fascism presents itself, when MAGA trash fascism presents itself, and you have to talk about it. I want you to invoke the term scapegoat politics.
Scapegoat politics. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like identity politics is something I really struggle to understand. It's just as being a white guy, but I do my best, and I do like to hear that the label hasn't gone away because I do think it is a problem. One that I'm not prepared to talk about like constructively yet. I've got just problems and solutions on my mind with respect to policy.
Yeah.
But I do think that you can toughen up those moderates and those liberals who might be progressive. See, I'm writing another essay called Liberal versus Progressive. The first point of differentiation is the size of change that you want. I
Yeah.
guarantee you, every liberal out there, if you just take away the how are we going to pay for it bullshit, and probably don't even need to do that now, it's going to be for Medicare for all. They're going to be for raising the minimum
Yeah.
wage. They're going to be for, medical debt cancellation. They're going to be for these things. So the biggest difference between liberal and progressive is incrementalism versus structuralism. And it's just that you can get, so in that respect, the polls that distinguish between liberal versus progressive, and very few polls do that, they're not accounting for people actually knowing what denotatively the terms are different, how those terms
Yeah.
are different. So most people who identify as liberal, if you actually talk to them about policies
Yep.
like that we are both so big on, that we both share such a passion for, they will self-describe as progressives by the time the conversation is
Oh
over.
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm writing this other essay. I'm saying love to the left, but fight to the right. So you put your arm around the neoliberal moderates and incrementalists, and you say, "Yo, we can do way better. You just gotta believe." Like, and there is historical precedent for this with the New Deal and FDR. He was like,
Yeah.
and if you know your history, you know that he was encouraged by other forces to be as progressive as he
Yeah.
was. But at the same time, he still did it, and he still came up with the Second Bill of Rights, which is basically the progressive platform. You just got to add immigration and environmental policy,
Yeah.
and that's basically the progressive platform right there.
Yeah. And you're right. And that's something that, once again, I got a lot of flaws, just being knowing myself and just being honest in regards to trying to deal with neoliberal voters. It's a fight. And I've come to the point to understand people just want something safe, and they want something like familiar, and especially with the times that we're living in, they feel like it's too much of a risk to even talk about bold policies or quote unquote radical policies, and trying to fight that fear that people have. Oh, what about if someone worse than Trump comes? And we can't vote for a woman. We can't vote for crazy politics that you're advocating for. That is the fight. Like
Right.
like you say, you talk to just about any liberal voter, you compare policies, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be down for it. But it's always something that is stopping them. And that's the fight that I think is going to be harder for progressives to fight versus Republicans. Because Republicans, it's easy. You can see the destruction, you can see the hate, you can see the bigotry. That's easy stuff. But
Right.
trying to convince liberals of saying, "Hey, I know you're used to this. I know you're used to living a life of barely making it, but there's something better. You just
Right.
have to give it a shot." We have history. We have people who are not bought and sold. We have these people. You just have to support them. That's
Right.
all progressive need, is that support in that vote. So I try not to be as heavy-handed when talking to liberals, but sometimes the frustration in them being so comfortable of barely making it makes me upset. I don't want breadcrumbs anymore. I want the bakery at this point. So
That's well
that's
put.
that's
I like that
that's the
metaphor.
struggle.
I like that. I like that metaphor. Um, yeah, this is well put. I forgive, but don't forget, and you can't have power. I said something similar in my scapegoat politics video where I said, never forgive, never forget, never respect ever again.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's for triple Trumpers who aren't public with their repentance, because I don't believe that they won't vote Republican again unless there is some sort of public demonstration of contrition, which
Hmm.
means that that's not going to happen with triple Trumpers. They just are never going to be persuaded. They're in a cult,
Yeah.
and we can't get them out. We can't get them out. They're in a cult, and they'd rather die than admit they're wrong. I
Yep.
said that way before Trump ran. I said that all the way back in. I mean, I've been saying that personally for 25 years, but I think I said it in my second video that they'd
Mm.
literally rather die than admit they're wrong. Mostly because a lot of the evangelicals think if they die, they're going to heaven, so they're good. They're good with dying.
Oh
They're
man,
good
which
with dying.
which which once again is crazy, but um this Christian rapper, he does poetry, and he said this, and I will never forget. He said, "How loud does an alarm clock have to be to wake a dead man?" And in regards to politics, what distraction, what
Right.
bottom of the barrel do people need to get to then come realize, be like, oh, this is not working. Me laughing at Trump, quote unquote, owning the libs, and hit me thinking he's joking when he's saying I'm gonna arrest my political opponents and I'm gonna take over Greenland and invade Cuba. They thought it was funny. They thought it was fun and games. But like you say, if they don't learn from their mistakes, how far to the bottom do they need to hit? Do they need
Right.
to lose their family, their house, their jobs? Like how far is the bottom for these people? Because I think it can happen, but it needs to be, like I said, America needs to lose this war with Iran. Things need shit literally needs to hit the fan for people to break out of this weird political veil people have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, hey man, it's been great having you. Do you have anything else you'd like to cover before we sign off?
No, I think you really hit the nail on the head. I just want more aggressive progressives out there that are willing to say the uncomfortable truths, because
Right.
unfortunately the cold hard truth is the only thing that's going to break us out of this, neoliberal Republican cycle, and to really get real representation in power. So, I mean,
And
other
I
than
would
that,
the only thing I would add to that, just to get more specific, is generational change
yeah.
within the Democratic Party. And I submit that we should leapfrog Gen X and go right to millennials,
Yeah.
because millennials are the children of 9/11. We are
Hmm.
the college graduates of 2008 housing crisis. We have been screwed over more than anybody else.
Yeah.
And we're getting into our 40s, so we have the life credibility card. I think once you hit 40, no one can really mess with you. You are a full grown adult, and you do have the same intellectual ethos as someone in their 60s at that point.
Yeah. And one day I'm 39, so next year I can't wait to be an actual full adult,
Oh, dude,
so
I'm coming to Colorado for your 40th birthday. You know that, right?
oh well, shoot, bring it. Hey, we got
What time
plenty
of
of
year
room
is it?
out here.
What time
Huh?
of year is it in?
That is in February. I just turned
Oh, nice,
39.
perfect. We'll go
Yeah,
skiing.
so we got 1 year to plan this.
Hell yeah, we'll go skiing for sure next year, baby.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Well, yo, Soup, thanks for joining me tonight. Oh, it is official. Daniel Biss has won. The
He's
results
one.
just
Yeah.
went final. Kat came in second. lost by about 4,400 votes, which is tough to swallow
Yeah.
considering Mike Simmons got 8,000.
Yeah.
So
Woo.
all she needed was a little bit more than half of his.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey man, Soup, thanks again for joining us.
Yes, sir.
And if you're the first time on my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Really need the new subs. And never forget that you don't get change in America by asking nicely.
Hey.
Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.